Hello, everyone. I'm Blayne Gilmer. Welcome to Southeastern 14, the place where we cover all things SEC football, basketball, baseball related. Chris Lee, Blake Lovell, they do a great job helping me cover all this stuff, and I'm looking forward to diving into these position countdowns as we go into the 2023 football season. We're starting with quarterback, and we're starting at number 5 as we get in here to our quarterback countdown of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. And we're looking at total body of work. We're looking at what they have coming back this year. We're looking at the offensive coordinator that now surrounds them, all the things that go into ranking these guys. And as you can see behind me, Connor Weigman for Texas A&M is going to be number 5 on this list. But before we get into him, I do have to throw out some honorable mentions and things like that of who will not be on this list. You will not find one of the Ole Miss quarterbacks on this list because we don't know who the starter is going to be. The same with Alabama. Can't in good conscience put any of those guys on the list because we don't know who's going to start. Actually, the same as you can say for Georgia. Kirby Smart has not come out publicly and said whether it will be Carson Beck, Brock Vandagriff, or Gunnar Stockton that starts at quarterback for him. And then Joe Milton does not make this list. And the reason that Joe Milton does not make this list is Joe Milton has not proven yet that he can go in, win a job, and hold on to a job in his career. And he has Nico Imaliva that is there behind him that I think at some point during this year will play because of the enormous amount of NIL money that is due to him, and there's just pressure to play those guys, and we'll see how that works out. But Joe Milton can prove me wrong, and also can all the quarterbacks that I mentioned, whoever ends up being Ole Miss's starter, Alabama starter, and Georgia starter. They could easily make their way into the top 5 as we will update this more mid-season. But going into preseason, Connor Weigman is number 5 on our list. And the reason Connor Weigman is number 5 on our list is because, one, he values the football. As a freshman in the SEC, he did not turn over the football, did not throw an interception, had 8 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, had 55% completion. So you'd like to see that come up. But you got to remember, he was hampered by Jimbo Fisher's antiquated offensive system. And that has been remedied now with Bobby Petrino coming in to revolutionize how Texas A&M operates offensively. So if Jimbo Fisher would just let Bobby Petrino do his thing, Connor Weigman, there is no doubt, is talented enough. You go back and look at his results with Elite 11, go look at the numbers that he put up in high school, things of that nature. The guy has extreme talent. You saw the connection with Evan Stewart, with Moose Muhammad. You saw the offense get a little bit of life about it when Connor Weigman became the starter. And this year, they've added some quarterback depth behind him. So what that tells me, and we saw in the spring game, is that Bobby Petrino is also not going to be afraid to utilize Connor Weigman's legs. He is a more gifted runner than people give him credit for. Athletic guy, played baseball as well. So Connor Weigman is a guy that you're going to see be able to, not make a living off run the football, but he's going to be able to extend plays and also do some design quarterback runs, whether it's on power read, zone read, things of that nature. Connor Weigman is a guy that is going to be able to run the football and, have some success doing those things. So what does success look like year 2? Okay, continue not to turn over the football, but he is going to have a lot more attempts and things like that, I would imagine, in Bobby Petrino's system. So you don't have to be perfect, but just make sure that you're valuing the football like he's already continuing to do, and he's going to get to take more shots down the field. It's not going to be the West Coast dink and duck style of offense that Jimbo Fisher had. He's going to be able to stretch the field, and he's going to be able to utilize those talented receivers like he has in Anais Smith, in Evan Stewart, in Moose Muhammad. So I think that Connor Weigman should slot in at number 5 in the quarterback countdown. And guys, I think he could climb even higher. Texas A&M, like I said, last year was just struggling offensively, concept-wise. Was not very imaginative, was very predictable. And even in that, when Connor Weigman took over, he was still able to have success. Had 2 games against good football teams, Ole Miss and LSU, that he completed over 63% of his passes. He had one game where couldn't get anything clicking against Auburn that really kind of skewed his completion percentage rating there. So I'm telling you, Connor Weigman is a guy to watch out for. I've got him ranked as number 5. But number 4, as you can see scrolling on the screens behind me, is Will Rogers. And Will Rogers is a guy who has a very, very good body of work, because as we compile this list, we're also talking about the full body of work that these guys have. We're talking about, the style of system that they're in. We're talking about what they have returning around them, and also just them as quarterbacks themselves, how they're able to handle things. And Will Rogers is a guy who has handled all kinds of adversity, and has also proven himself as a leader. When you get on this list and you're the quarterback of an SEC football team, you have to lead in a big way. And I think there was no question about it when you saw this Mississippi State team go to battle in its bowl game last year after the tragic loss of Mike Leach, untimely death of their head coach that really revolutionized college football with his ways of going about running offense. And Will Rogers certainly benefited from that in his first 3 seasons to the tune of 10,689 yards. Will Rogers has completed 70% of his passes. Now, I know a lot of that's because the passes were shorter in the air raid, a lot of screens, a lot of things like that. Only 6.5 yards per attempt passing, which is one of the lower ones that you'll see out there. But still, this is a guy who in the SEC throwing a pass, and he's thrown 1,639 pass attempts throughout his career. So when he comes in, a 4th-year starter here for Mississippi State. Yes, he's going to be in a pro-style system with Kevin Barbay coming over from Appalachian State, Zach Arnett, offensive coordinator, and it's going to change a whole lot. He'll actually have to take some snaps under center. He'll have to have some tight ends on the field, so it's going to be a little bit different for Will Rogers, but the young man can just flat play football, and you've seen it since he was a freshman in the COVID year, going to Georgia for a very, very good Georgia team that year that won the Sugar Bowl. He went over there and really just went toe to toe with a team that would then go on the next 2 years to win back-to-back national championships. So you've seen it early on in his career. He just had kind of that moxie. He has the ability to make plays, and Will Rogers is going to have a very successful year this year. Now, Mississippi State is a team. I don't know that it'll result to, adding up in the win column for them. It's going to be tough. They're changing over entire culture there with Zach Arnett taking over. Not sure what the entire roster is going to look like. I do know they have some playmakers over on the offensive side of the ball that he's going to be able to distribute the ball to. They did lose Ra Thomas from this past year, one of their best receivers from a year ago. He transferred to Georgia, but Will Rogers has plenty of weapons to throw the ball to, whether it's senior Jaden Walley, whether it's LeDedrick Griffin, who is quick as a hiccup. I mean, that guy, you give him just a little bit of space, and, in the return game, he's absolutely lethal, but he can also turn that in. I think they're going to be able to use that stretch to field with him. Justin Robinson's a big body guy. We talked about Ra Thomas transferred to Georgia. Well, Justin Robinson transferred from Georgia to Mississippi State a couple years ago. They're also going to have a tight end from the University of Georgia coming in, Rylan Godey, who's been around that talented Georgia tight end room. So he'll bring that experience over as well. Jaquarius Spivey comes over. So they've got those guys coming in because they didn't have any tight ends on their roster. They had to go out and get some because they didn't need any in the air raid and how they went about things. So totally new there. And that should also probably bring some different concepts that Will Rogers can take advantage of this year. And then, of course, you can't forget back at the receiver position, Rufus Harvey as well. So have some talented guys that he's going to be able to distribute the ball to. He's got all those reps against every different kind of defense you can see, because when you're running the air raid like he was, teams are grasping at straws, trying different things to try to slow down and change how that offense is going to operate. And, you know, they did so to varying degrees of success at times. We've seen games like against Texas A&M, Will Rogers just go absolutely nuts and be able to put up huge performances against LSU a couple of years ago. So, I mean, there is all kinds of instances where he's been able to go out and have success. I mentioned the Georgia game his freshman year. So we've seen him be able to go out and do it against quality teams. And now we're going to see a different style with Kevin Barbay coming in and bringing his more pro style type of offense from Appalachian State. But we look for Will Rogers, the success, all those reps, everything that he's gone through, the leadership. That's why he's slotted at number 4 for us. He's proven, and he has the talent and has some weapons around him to have success this year in terms of statistically and preparing himself for the NFL after this season. Will Rogers comes in at number 4 for us in our top 5 quarterback countdown heading into 2023. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications to catch not only who number 3 is going to be in our quarterback countdown, but also the other positions. As I said before, we've got schedule previews coming out for every single team in the SEC. And also we will do game-by-game breakdowns for every SEC game as well in 2023. If you want complete coverage and content that is constantly coming out on SEC football, this is your place to be. Subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and also leave your comments. Have we gotten this list wrong so far? What are your thoughts on it? We'd love to hear about it. Do you like what's going on here? Any kind of comment you want to leave helps out our analytics, and we greatly appreciate it. So for everybody at Southeastern 14, I am Blayne Gilmer, and we will catch you guys next time as we look forward to counting down number 3 on the quarterback list, as we've had number 5, Connor Weigman, number 4, Will Rogers. We'll see who number 3 is when we come to you next time here on Southeastern 14.